I do that in my nutrition counseling. I don't just speak to the client. I will speak to the client and their family, because they're going to be in there supporting them in the kitchen, maybe not encouraging them to eat the junk food or to understand it. So what I am doing in terms of the industry is getting a little bit more involved in that. And, I'll be taking competitors to the upcoming shows. Again, I'm not ruling out that I will compete again. It's not there right now for it. I don't have a specific show in mind. And again, right now for me, it's about, helping other people get out there. I love also the idea of first time competitors, and just them doing it in a healthy and wholesome way.
Yeah, I think that's good that you're helping out people who are just coming in here, especially new to the sport. I think that we need more people to reach out to these new competitors, and maybe with open hands, with open arms. Some people, they can be a little bit, it is a selfish sport, bodybuilding, because from like the everyday person, when you think about bodybuilding, it's nothing but steroids and you got to get big and Arnold and Arnold. You can be like Arnold, but here is that's just not even the big aspect of it. One thing is you have to be consistent, you have to follow a diet, you have to be able to work out and train, and it's not for everybody. You have to be really passionate about it, because again, for y'all ladies, it's more of a expense than anything, because not just you got to pay your training, your food, your diet, and the cost of traveling, this and that. Then also when you go to the shows, your tanning, your hair, your makeup, your suits right there. I mean, for the guys, all they got to do is wear a pair of banana hammocks and board shorts. That's it. But for you ladies, there's so much, and like I said, you don't get much out of it like you do if you were doing like a mainstream sport. If you played any, like football, or basketball, baseball, or even if you like, I used to do some great interviews with ladies in mixed martial arts and boxing, and those women still make a little more because of the fact that they're in a sport where it's more recognized. Bodybuilding has changed over time. Here we got a comment. This is from my man. Shout from AL. He says this. He says, your physique is nice for natural bodybuilding. Thank you, brother. And he says this. He saw earlier. It says, yeah, that's cool. You're doing the handstand, also controlling your body to slowly go down. Also, this is from my man. Warriors. A Gillian is a natural, so traditional, like that concept, yeah. And also, this is from Warriors. Says, what does Gillian think of the women's physique athletes currently in terms of their look, or do you approve of it? Is it too extreme, or is it appealing? So, as we talk about the old school athletes like Richard McLeod, Corey Houston, do you follow any competitors? Anybody you really follow that you kind of like, like I'm a fence on them, or you really think, wow, they're just astonishing, amazing?
So my favorite athlete right now is Sharonica Henton, and we came up kind of at the same time. But I think she is, to me, the epitome and beautiful for women's physique. And I don't judge. Like, I understand how the division has gotten to be what it is, just in terms of everybody raising the bar for competition. And I find, all different physiques visually appealing, whether it's, the current look of the Miss Olympia, Sarah, or the previous looks. Like, my favorite, I love Juliana Malencarne from, I guess she was the second women's physique Olympia. I love Dana Lynn Bailey's physique. I think beautiful physiques and the appeal do come in all shapes and sizes. What is current of today in women's physique is too extreme for me. So I'm like, very strong, kind of like my personal boundaries of what I am willing to do and not willing to do. And I cannot achieve the look that wins in today's women's physique and stay true to my beliefs. So, like, for me, I realize I can't compete in it. It does not mean that I don't have the greatest appreciation. I prefer bodybuilding of another era. I prefer golden era bodybuilding. I prefer some of the names we talked about. To me, Linda Murray is the most classic, beautiful, Miss Olympia of all time. Andrea Shaw, I love her look too. But I like, in terms of women's physique, I do believe that it has gotten like beyond where So to me, in terms of conditioning, the thing that I struggle with is how the rules are written is not how they're judged. And I know there's definitely a lot of talk about it. The way the rules are written in terms of what should be displayed in women's physique, it says that you should not be, striated, there shouldn't be, or hard or grainy or any of these things. And that's not the way it's judged. So that's where I struggle. It's not what the competitors are bringing to the stage. I struggle with the fact that the written standard is different than the judged standard. But I think to bodybuilding about me is I want the outside of what I look like to be a representation and manifestation of what's on the inside. So I want to be healthy looking, but also healthy on the inside. And I believe anything taken to the extreme is no longer healthy. So I want to be able to look great and be able to back it up. I want my health markers to be great, my blood values to be great. I want to be physically strong. I want to be capable. I want to be able to perform well. That also means I'm never going to be the most conditioned athlete out there, because we know, especially women at very low body fat, that can be extremely unhealthy. So to me, bodybuilding is about the insides and the outside.
Yeah, especially like I said again, women are built different than men. Men, I often say this, our purpose is to breed, battle, and die. That's it. And and when we naturally are like, I'm a big dude, but still, I mean, when I was lifting weights into high school, I was like, by the time I was 16, I was already doing 350 on the bench press. And we're just built different than women. But then that thing is, people always go about how women with muscle is kind of like it's a offense to them. Like they feel like, why are you having these muscles? Why are you doing this? Like, and especially people don't understand it. That's why it's so difficult to people accept the idea that you're an athlete, you train, you work out hard. Even like you said, you were doing CrossFit and powerlifting. Even that, they would feel like, okay, you're getting too muscly. And she mentioned again, my person I love Andrea. Andrea is just so beautiful. I mean, she's just amazing. She just brings another level. And the Judy McCartneys and the Shamonica Hintons. I feel like, it's we talked about this before. We do a podcast every Monday. How the standard has changed, and I think it happened when Sarah became champion over Shanique Grant. I think Shanique had the more feminine look, but then they switched over to Sarah, and she has evolved. She's just another level. And if that's the problem, then the judges should stick to the criteria that was set when the division was started. But it just, I don't know. It's just, like I said, I'm just an outsider looking in. Here we got a comment. And this is from shout outs to my man Panther7. Shout out to Panther7 coming through, brother. Thank you. He says, good afternoon, brother George and beautiful Gillian in chat. Thank you, brother. What we'll do also is, like I said, she is a coach and a trainer. And I pulled this up. This is from my YouTube channel. So if you want to follow her, go to her YouTube channel. It's in the description of the live stream. It's a little get together she had. She was talking. We're not gonna play it too much long, but we're gonna re-listen to it. And if you're someone interested and maybe you need to work on some things, or maybe interested in maybe you're as a coach or helping instructions, reach out to Gillian. So here we go. There we go.
So right now, I am just under 6 weeks away from competing in a bodybuilding competition, and I am on a very strict diet, which you will come to understand some of the challenges of that, including the position that I am in right now. So I'm actually going to start by asking a few questions to get a gauge of who I have in the room. Show of hands. How many of you are actively trying to change your body composition? So what I mean by that, about changing body composition, and let's not see it in terms of gaining weight, losing weight. How many of you are trying to either put on muscle or lose body fat, or some magical combination of both? Okay. How many of you feel like you're doing a really good job of that right now? Okay. So that is really why we are here today. I am here to tell you that there is no one way. There is no best way of doing things. There is no best diet. What we are going to find out today is what is best for you and works for you at that time in your life. And I'm going to show you guys how to get there. So when we think of diet, most everybody thinks of something extremely restrictive, right? What do we think of when we think of diet? What do we think of?
No salad dressing.
No salad dressing. What else? What do you think of when you think of diet? No carbs. So we also generally think of weight loss. How many of you, when you think of a diet, think of very restrictive, very low calorie, temporary, and weight loss? That is generally what we think of. It doesn't have to be that way. Is anybody in here actively trying to gain weight? Okay, so that is awesome, and we are going to address both sides of that today. So every
that's great insight, because I think everybody has different insight, especially when they're trying to lose weight and get healthy, or just to gain muscle. And as you know, you're a coach and a trainer. Do you have your own coach, or you do your own coaching training?
So sometimes both. So I did use a coach for this past contest prep. Other than that, I typically coach myself most of the time, but I do feel like it's important from time to time to be on the other side of things when you are always in charge, and also to have somebody look at you from the outside. When you're in something, you get tunnel vision, and it's very, very helpful, even if it's what you do. I find that even though I have done this my whole life, if I could say that if I had a calling, I have known that I wanted to coach people. Maybe since I was 4 or 5 years old. The very first time I was interviewed for a school newspaper, the reporter asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "An exercise physiologist." And I was in grade school. He's like, "Can you spell it?" And but I have always known. I started training friends when I was about 7 years old. So I knew as a gymnast that you needed to be strong, that you needed to be conditioned in order to get better. And my friend Kim, who is a very close friend of mine, was a training partner, and I used to train her. And I had a couple of other friends that I trained at home. So this has been, I feel like, a calling. Like, I've always been fortunate to know this is what I want to do. But yes, I am a trainer and a coach, and I do believe that it is important sometimes, even though it's what I do, to seek some coaching from the outside, whether it's to learn something new, a new discipline, or just to have another set of eyes on you.
Yeah, that's good, because you know what? I think it's good to get that, instead of getting the other set of eyes, because
Yeah.
something you might not see, and then you might say, "I'm doing good," but then you get another set, somebody else who has maybe a better education, maybe more understanding of the body. They might say, "Okay, we might need to work on this, and we might need to work on that," and pull everything together, and especially talk about diet. That is the important part of that. Like, I know, after your last show, this is something the other guy wants to ask me. He says, "Tell us, share it with us, Gillian. What was that thing that was calling you? Because I know you're on diet, you're prepping, and sometimes you have desires, and sometimes those things that make you stranger can make you stronger." So, what was that thing you got? Especially just, you've been dieting, you're training, you and Scott can go out and have a good time and eat. What was that? What was that thing that you often love to get?
A good bottle of red wine, a big fatty steak, and a chocolate dessert. So I would definitely say it was, I'm just going to be very, very honest here. Like a lot of other people, we took to having happy hour during COVID, and some small amount of alcohol had kind of crept into daily activity for us. Like, we would have a drink or two, a glass of wine or something, most evenings. And I gave up alcohol, we know I love it and stuff, but it's absolutely a poison. And during the contest prep, I knew that was not something that had any kind of place on it. And getting away for these past years from professional athletics and competing, it's like, oh, it's okay if I have a glass of wine in the evening. I'm not competing anymore. So I can tell you that I was very, very much looking forward to a glass of wine.
I know everybody has their favorites: steak, beef, alcohol. I know some ladies that like to get a little taste of the grape. Some don't drink the grape; they like to drink that Jose Cuervo. Get like, oof, yeah, yeah. But everybody has the things that you like the most. Here we got here from Man Warrior. Shout out to Man Warrior. Says, "Those nagging, ignorant people that think women with muscle is gross or repulsive, I seriously need to have a divine intervention with these folks. I tell you, hey, these guys, they are lovely ladies. And also get these anti-muscle women naysayers to reconsider their whatever he says, perceived notions, narrowly minded attitudes, and convince them that these women are beautiful, they're athletic, and they are strong women. Thank you, brother. We appreciate that. Also, it's from KL, who says, you look like you could be a action hero with those tank tops and jeans. You know, and also, this is what a man says, would you do OCB show or some other organizations or natural bodybuilding? You know, OCB, that's the organization of I think bodybuilding organizations been around, but you are IFB Pro. And I know some, I think I've interviewed some OCB competitors who also are interested in switching over to the IFB because, you know, the Pittsburgh Pro coming up is going to be a big extravaganza, and they added a natural pro qualifier this year. So would you ever want to, you want to feel like you said, you're not focused on competing, you know, right now, but would you ever think about going to another organization that fits more with your lifestyle as a bodybuilder?
So I would not rule it out. I do have some competitors that I do put in the OCB. It's very hard, having achieved IFBB Pro status, to go compete in the OCB. And I don't know whether it is true or not. I have been told that if you compete outside the organization, that you lose your status. So that would be something that I would need to know. Like, what I would not want to do is give up my IFBB Pro status by competing in the OCB. So it's something that has crossed my mind. I have not ruled it out, but I would need to get firm answers as to whether or not that's true. But one of the things that last comment brought up for me about muscular women, I can tell you this, having been a muscular woman my entire life, I feel that it is so much more acceptable, and we have come so far. So I've been muscular, again, as a gymnast since childhood, and I used to hide my muscle. I was interviewed when I was in high school for a newspaper. I won the United States Marine Corps National Physical Fitness Championship. And the title, which got me very upset of the article, was, "Is she human?" So if no teenage girl wants to be called that, but I wore, I worked out during the time that I was being interviewed, and I wore a very, very baggy shirt. And the very opening line in the newspaper, and this was a New York City newspaper like publication, said, "Beneath her baggy shirt are biceps bigger than most of the boys." And I was mortified. So, you know, I came from a time that was far less culturally and socially acceptable in the 80s and 90s to be a muscular woman. And I feel like there has been a shift in time, and we are much more, you know, I look at anything from the Williams sisters to and just embracing like larger and more muscular women throughout time now. As I could walk around today, and I'm not saying I don't deal with a lot of hate, I deal with a lot of it, but not like what I did 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And last night, my husband and I were listening to like kind of some old music and classic music and talking about big band era and like, when would we have wanted to live? We saw somebody wearing a hat that was kind of 40s era. And we talked about what decades would we want to live in. And I kind of talked about, you know, we talked about the 20s or the 40s. And I also thought, you know, I'd love to live at that time, but it was not acceptable for a woman. I mean, I have a hard time being a muscular woman in 2025. You know, what if I was a muscular woman in 1955? So I realized that I probably could not have lived at another time and done what I've done. Not that there's not a lot of historical women of those times, but I feel like even though I still deal with a ton of adversity and negativity, that it has much improved over the 45 years that I have been training.
Well, being a black man, any period I mean, it can't go back there because no. I'm from the South. My family are, you know, my parents were sharecroppers, my grandparents were sharecroppers, my great grandparents were slaves. I'm telling you, those times, those periods, I don't think I want to go back there. I have no interest in going back there. I even did some sharecropping when I was younger. You know, not much because, you know, back then I got my first real job by the time I was 16. But yeah, I think people are a little bit more open to it because of the, as you know, today it's the new year, new me attitude, and everybody's in the gym trying to work out. Most of them are not gonna last for more than 2 months, then they quit. But I think, yeah, it's like, I think in the 80s there was a big push for physical fitness. You know, there was movies and, you know, when stuff like, you know, remember like Olivia John had the Let's Get Physical came out. You
Yeah.
know, let's get physical, because you're 47, I'm 50, I'm 3 years older than you here. So yeah, but yeah, I think if the people understand that, as I said again, you are a woman, you're an athlete, you like to work out, you like to train, you'll see that's good. But the others who have a problem with it, man, Buddy Mac says, boy, it don't like you, you know, just say, fuck them. That's all I can say about that. So here we got here from my man, shout to my man, Panthers of Seven says, Gillian, when it comes to holidays, how do you deal with the food while dieting during prep? So, you know, just got off of Christmas and Thanksgiving, you know, and you were, I think your show was, I think it was the end of September. Remember September when your show was?
Mid-November. So
Mid-November, yeah, yeah. So right around just before Thanksgiving, I remember interviewing one lady. She was prepping for nationals. She said she couldn't eat Thanksgiving dinner because of Thanksgiving, and you know, and I know that was tough for you and your hubby. You know, especially like one thing, we go to family events, like you can't eat what everybody eats. Like, you know, we got barbecues in summer, especially in the South. In the South, we go all out. You know that, especially in North Carolina, and you can't bring, you got to bring your own food because you just can't eat everything that's there in front of you.
So I was able to be, this prep ended before Thanksgiving and Christmas time, which are certainly my favorite holidays to eat, which I was thankful that it ended before it. I think it's very individual. If you start a prep early enough, and I think if you're timing things right, I think there's probably a place, depending on the timing of it, to enjoy some type of holiday meal. For me, a lot of the holiday meals and socializing came to managing the expectations of the people that I was sharing the holidays with. So I did this prep very different by letting everybody know, here's what you could expect of me. You know, I may not participate in these social events. If I do come, and just kind of sharing a lot more rather than kind of being the weirdo that brought my foods. I'm not going to lie. But anytime I plan to do a show, I look at and I mourn the holidays that I'm going to miss on the calendar and stuff. And is there a way to do it a little bit healthier? Is there a way, you know, maybe ask the coach, you know, do I get extra calories or can I have a meal on this day? But giving up the holidays and stuff is definitely tough. So I started for the November show. I started the diet in June. So what I missed was kind of like, you know, 4th of July hot dogs and stuff. So 4th of July, Labor Day weekend kind of stuff, but I did not miss like the major holidays in terms of Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I have dieted through those. So the year that I prepped for the Arnold, my diet started like 3 days before Thanksgiving. So that is that is definitely hard. So I think I'm rambling. I don't think I have a pretty firm answer. It's definitely sad to give up those things, but I think participating in them in some capacity and planning for them so that there's no absolutes in this, you know, in terms of what a contest diet is or isn't. It looks different for everybody. And there's no, well, you know, you can't have holiday food. Well, there are some competitors that can and go right back on it the next meal. And for some people, that's not good for them either physically or psychologically. So I think every competitor is different.
Yeah, food is both a weapon and a tool for a bodybuilder. How you grow, how you develop. Sometimes, you know, you have your favorites. I think a lot of us love carbs, but you know, you have to cut that out because you don't need that because it causes you swell a little more. You know, you cut out sugar because it's both. It's, you know, sugar. Like I know I bought a box of donuts yesterday because I went out shopping. And, you know, I got, you know, a couple more left in the kitchen. You know, it's like crack to me. So you know, it's so tempting to, you know, to just deny yourself those things you want, but you have a goal and you want to get it. Especially you were doing your Arnold that year, and you know your goal was to compete there, and you got 6th place.
Yeah.
That means that you made that sacrifice. That's one thing about it. There's a lot of sacrifice to this. Here we got a comment from my man, shout my man, Kate Ellie says, I agree with you, all being healthy internally and externally. Also, he says, yeah, I heard that too about the losing your IFBB status. Yeah, that's true. That's what I heard about some people. I think you take a picture with someplace and you're kind of funny. I don't know. And also he says this says, I take you could do muscle ups, how many?
So I, if you could find it on the internet, actually many years ago, I can do muscle ups. I had done 100 for something called Operation Pull for Hope. So many years ago, during the wars, I was very involved with Hope for the Warriors, a nonprofit that serves kind of injured veterans and helps families of those, killed in action. And I did a fundraiser, went through CrossFit, and then, like I said, it was called Pull for Hope, but I did 100 muscle ups to raise money. This was through CrossFit back in 2009.